Applying a modest dab of fragrance has become an established part of many hygiene routines today. But perfume was a celebrated luxury item long before Chanel No. 5 or your desperate gas station cologne, and it didn't always smell so sweet. Today, we're taking a look at the history of perfume. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel. And while you're at it, leave a comment and let us know what other historical hygiene topics you would like to hear about. Okay, time to spritz a little Tay-Tay's Wonderstruck into the air and walk through it into some weird history. In ancient Egypt, people called perfume the sweat of the sun god, believing it to come from the perspiration of Ra himself. But since Ra's tennis headband isn't super appealing, they had another god dedicated to perfume, Nefertem. According to Simon Goodenough's Egyptian mythology and several other texts on the subject, Nefertem was the god of the sunrise. He also pulled double duty as the god of the lotus blossom. That's disappointing. Even gods have to work two jobs. Lotus flowers are known for their pleasant scent and medicinal properties, and were a vital ingredient in Egyptian perfume, which led to Nefertem's association with fragrances. To create their scents, Egyptians used plants like henna, lotus, water lily, roses, and cinnamon. These were soaked in oil and sold to the wealthy. Poor people, meanwhile, just had to bake in their own funk. Speaking of wealth, between the 16th and 11th centuries BCE, Egypt was at its most prosperous. Known as New Kingdom Egypt, it was the period during which King Tut lived. The Valleys of the Kings became a landmark, and the Temple of Luxor was built at Thebes. Architecture of the time still humbles and inspires Las Vegas land developers to this day. The time period also ushered in some unique fashion choices involving perfumed hats. According to the History of Ancient Egyptian Literature, Volume 1, people wore wreaths and perfume on their heads as they drank wine. And some wore perfumed cones made from beeswax and oil scents. Artwork from the period depicts people sporting these cones. But the practice wasn't confirmed until 2019, when a team led by Monash University's Anna Stevens uncovered two bodies in Amarna that were buried with the cones on their heads. Bury me in my smell hat isn't the type of final wish you can refuse. Throughout the ancient world, most perfumes were basically scented oils. For the ancient Greeks and Romans, olive oil was the most common base. I guess they preferred to conduct their daily business while smelling like pantry pasta. That would just make me hungry all day. But there were other oils, such as almond, that were also used. After pressing olives, perfumers would add in different wood and plants to create fabulous fragrances. Pliny the Elder bitterly complained about these oils in his Natural History, calling them the most superfluous of all forms of luxury, and insisting they lost their scent the very hour they are used. This may be the earliest known instance of a one-star review. The Romans also loved perfumes and scented oils. Fragrances were used as part of love, ritual, beauty, and commerce. Pretty much the same things we use them for today. The oldest known perfume factory, located in Cyprus, manufactured scents for Roman temples. Ingredients like pomegranate rind, sweet marjoram, and cypress all made their way into fine Roman perfumes. But frankincense was likely the most popular. At the height of the Roman Empire, perfumers blazed through nearly 3,000 tons of frankincense every year. That's a whole lot of incense. Sounds like someone didn't want their parents to smell what they were actually burning in the domus. The Romans used frankincense in their baths, during beauty rituals, and even dabbed a bit on the soles of their feet. And similar to ancient Egypt, people were buried with perfume made from the resin. Although to the best of our knowledge, no Romans got to wear fancy scented cones. Perfume was also popular in ancient China. The Chinese liked to burn incense, associating the practice with purity and honor. They also wore perfume pouches filled with herbs, flowers, and other pleasant-smelling things. Nowadays, if you wear a homemade Yankee Candle necklace one time, you're no longer allowed to ride the bus, even if it's a controlled flame. Have we really progressed? The traditional Chinese perfume pouch has many names, including Shangyang, Shangbao, or Heibao, and traces its origins back to the Tang, Zhou, and Shang dynasties. During the Tang dynasty, women began making the sachets with colorful silk and silver or gold beads. Throughout the Qing dynasty, emperors treated perfume as a luxury. Due to a long-held Manchu custom, emperors and empresses carried pouches around. They'd use them to bring good luck and freshen the air around them, and would hand them out to those with whom they found favor. But perfume wasn't just a noble's pursuit in China. Throughout history, royalty types have had a common obsession with perfume. And ancient Persia was no different. Growing and cultivating flowers for use in perfume was fairly common in the region. According to Achaemenian stone inscriptions and Pahlavi texts, perfume caught the attention of Persian royalty, in particular Darius the Great, who was especially keen on fragrances. So much so that one relief depicts him holding perfume flowers in his hand. Another stone image shows him sitting in an elegant chair. Beside him are 2 perfume bottles. And behind him stands his son Xerxes, you know, the bad guy from 300, who is also holding flowers. We wouldn't be surprised if archaeologists discovered evidence of Darius launching his own line of fragrances, like Juicy Couture. Persia significantly contributed to perfume advancements and developments throughout the Middle Ages. The Persian philosopher Avicenna even experimented with perfume. When he wasn't busy writing about ethics, he was also a chemist. It's widely believed that he invented the alcohol distillation process that led to liquid perfumes. Contrary to popular depiction, people liked to smell good during the Middle Ages too. To provide a pleasant aroma, members of the upper class carried around pomanders. A pomander is a small, scented ball at the end of a chain, sort of like a medieval wallet chain clipped to a bottle of "Thank You, Next" by Ariana Grande. Taking their name from the French word pomme d'ambre, meaning amber apple, pomanders were built for a single purpose: to eliminate foul odors. The little devices were typically constructed of wood, metal, or porcelain. People wore them around their necks, both to enjoy the aroma and to avoid the plague. Even doctors of the period believed perfume would keep the Black Death at bay. You know those nasty-looking bird masks plague doctors wore? They'd fill the ends of those freakishly long noses with dried flowers, spices, herbs, and vinegar to thwart miasma, the belief that illnesses could be transferred via pungent odors. Meanwhile, pomanders contained a mix of herbs, spices, and ambergris, otherwise known as the intestinal wax from the belly of a whale. Apparently that smelled better than whatever the hell was in the air back then. Ambergris is basically a big, oily hairball coughed up by a sperm whale. According to British marine biologist Robert Clarke's 2006 study, The Origin of Ambergris, squid beaks may cause a deadly blockage in the whale's intestinal tract, which causes ambergris to be expelled into the sea. Perfumes made from ambergris were thought to have medicinal properties and possibly even freshen the breath. Today, perfumers rely on a synthetic, lab-produced version of ambergris instead of the genuine article. But real scent heads know where the pure stuff comes from. While many perfumes contained ambergris, others were concocted from secretions from different animals, including deer, beavers, and cats. Specifically, liquids secreted from the animal's scent and anal glands. Dab on a little eau de cat butthole and make a reservation for 2. Medieval Italians discovered alcohol-based perfumes in the 14th century. If you're going to make a game-changing discovery, chances are there's going to be some alcohol involved. The first liquid perfume was called Queen of Hungary Water, which was made with alcohol, mint, and rosemary as a special present for Queen Elizabeth of Hungary, not to be confused with Hungry Queen Elizabeth. That woman could pack it away. Eventually, Italians arrived at the creation of aqua mirabilis in 1600. The miraculous water is perhaps better known as eau de Cologne, so named because its inventor, Giovanni Paolo Feminis, lived in the city of Cologne at the time. His creation would go on to haunt countless nightclubs on the Jersey Shore centuries later. At first, it was used as a disinfectant and to kill bacteria. Later, it was transformed into a perfume, thanks to the efforts of Italian perfumer Giovanni Maria Farina. Italy was known as a fine perfume purveyor for centuries, a reputation Catherine de' Medici helped to accommodate. The daughter of a young Italian prince, Catherine was destined for a royal life, but she wasn't exactly popular. Known as cold and calculating during her reign, she oversaw a country that was plagued by civil wars. She also played a heavy role in the infamous 1572 massacre of St. Bartholomew's Day. But what's not as well known is her connection to perfume. Catherine loved Italian perfumes. As a young queen wedded to France's King Henry II, she was gifted a special perfume by Florence's Dominican monks called Acqua della Regina, or Water of the Queen. When Catherine moved to France, she brought her perfume maker, René Le Florentin, along with a large custom perfume collection. According to some sources, she gave scented gloves to the French court, and French nobles began wearing them as prestigious status symbols. It's not a Mercedes or a Rolex, but a pleasantly aromatic hand still provided the desired feeling of superiority. Interestingly, Catherine later was accused of murdering her enemies by presenting them with gifts of poisoned gloves. Those claims have largely been discredited, but at any rate, they didn't seem to affect the upper class's fascination with fragrant gloves, which became popular gifts for nobles throughout the next few centuries. Catherine wasn't the only notorious fan of perfume. According to historical records, Napoleon loved eau de Cologne and swore by its supposed health benefits. He loved it so much, in fact, that Professor Parvez of De Montfort University, Leicester, believes the French emperor may have inadvertently poisoned himself with it. Harris writes, "For Napoleon, eau de Cologne was a double-edged sword. It saved him during his campaigns and travels, but it ultimately killed him due to overdosing himself over several decades. Since it mainly contains alcohol, eau de Cologne was acting as an antiseptic, and this may have well saved his life by protecting him from catching deadly bacteria and viruses during his campaigns." It's not hard to believe he OD'd on musk. Napoleon famously ordered 50 bottles of perfume per month, preferring the scent of rosemary. He certainly kept his perfumer, Chardin, busy. Chardin reportedly delivered 162 bottles of eau de Cologne to Napoleon in a single 3-month period. Apparently, Napoleon also doubled as a Miami DJ. For a long time, perfume was only really accessible to the rich. Odor, like virtually everything else, acted as a dividing line between classes. In the Middle Ages, pomanders were carried by wealthy nobles, not common folk. But by the 19th century, synthetic fragrances had changed everything. Production gets a little less costly when you don't have to scour the ocean for whale vomit. Perfume was still marketed as a luxury item, like it is today, but it became an affordable one. Thanks to centuries of experimentation and perfection, smelling nice is no longer the exclusive domain of the rich and powerful. Now, you too can smell like Bruce Willis. So what do you think? Would you have freshened up with any of these fragrances? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from our weird history.